The pressure on British Prime Minister Boris Johnson because of his government's behavior in the corona crisis it's increasing. Boris Johnson has been under criticism for weeks, including with his own ranks. But there has also been a whole chain of scandals recently, and today I just want to give you a small overview just of all the last stuff and not the past. On October 26th, Conservative were under criticism for paid lobbying, and the Conservative MP Owen Paterson from rural North Shropshire faced a 30-day suspension. The Standards Committee concluded that Paterson accepted payment for lobbying in violation of the statutes. And on 3rd November, the government voted to relax Parliament's rules in the fight against corruption. That could prevent Paterson from leaving. However, the push sparks a debate over integrity led by Johnson. Well, not the debate, but the integrity. The opposition accuses the government of corruption. And on November 4th, after massive resentment within its own party, the government dropped its plans to change the statutes. Paterson resigned, necessitating a by-election in this North Shropshire constituency. And then November 22nd, the famous Peppa Pig speech. During a speech, Johnson gets tangled up in his manuscript. Instead, he talks about his recent visit to a children's theme park. It is based on the successful animated series Peppa Pig, about a pig girl. He tells the business representatives present that everyone should visit the park like he did the day before. I loved it. Peppa Pig world is to my liking. Safe roads and discipline in the schools. His leadership has come under fire again, and he brushes off inquiries from reporters. I think people understood most of my message. That went very well. In his own little world, I must add. And November 30th, well, then it really got started. The Mirror newspaper reports a Christmas party in December 2020. The first such report of gatherings during the first lockdown at government offices and Johnson's office at Downing Street. Contacts in England were severely limited at the time. This first report was followed by others in the weeks that followed, as well as photos as evidence. In one of these photos, Johnson can be seen hosting a Christmas quiz for his employees. Next to him is an employee with a tinsel garland around his neck. And on December 7th, ITV has released a video showing staff reenacting a press conference and poking fun at how they are supposed to explain a gathering in Downing Street. Just hours earlier, Johnson had told reporters that he was very satisfied that no corona restrictions were violated. And then we have December 8th. Johnson apologizes for the video and says it makes him angry. His spokesperson and advisor Allegra Stratton, who appears in the video herself, is stepping down. Another pawn Johnson is sacrificing. On December 9th, well, the Conservative Party has been fined £17,800 by election officials. The party is accused of failing to properly declare a donation that helped fund the refurbishment of the Downing Street office home, so to speak. This again raised the question of who paid for the work. According to media reports, the renovation has cost hundreds of thousands of pounds. And then we have December 14th. Johnson is faced with a veritable revolt within his own ranks. Nearly 100 Tory MPs in the House of Commons are voting against the new rules he is calling for to contain the pandemic. Attempts behind the scenes to bring the Tory dissenters on course, after all, they fail. And the defeat fuels doubts about Johnson's position in the party. And then, on December 17th, the chief investigator resigns over the Christmas party affair because the head of the ongoing government investigations into possible corona violations at illegal Christmas parties, Simon Case, is resigning. Case withdrew to maintain public confidence in the investigation, Johnson office said. Case, the UK's most senior civil servant, came under criticism himself after British media reported meetings in his department in December 2020. Case's job then was handed over to Sue Gray, a senior official at the Department of Housing and Communities. You might have heard her name by now. And on December 17th, well, the Conservative Party loses a seat in North Shropshire in the by-election. The vote had become necessary because the previous Conservative MP Paterson had to resign. The election was therefore considered an important mood test. Surprisingly, the candidate for the Liberal Democrats, Helen Morgan, prevailed. With that, the Tories lost a region that they had held firmly in their hands for nearly 200 years. Johnson has taken responsibility, in his words. On December 18th, British Brexit Minister David Frost is resigning with immediate effect. As a reason, he gives concerns about the course of the government. According to the Mail on Sunday newspaper, Frost was frustrated with Johnson's policy decisions, including the coronavirus restrictions. And on December 19th, it's party again. The Guardian newspaper publishes a photo of Johnson and more than a dozen others drinking wine in the Downing Street garden. The photo is said to have been taken on May 15th in 2020, also during the first lockdown. In the photo, Johnson can be seen seated at a table on the terrace with a glass of wine in front of him. His partner Kerry is sitting next to him with their newborn son in her arms. Two other people are also at the table. Four more people are seated at a second table on the terrace, and a group of 9 people can be seen on the lawn a little further away. They stand around a table on which wine bottles can be seen. Johnson's office said there were staff meetings in the garden that day. Yeah, have you seen my work meeting t-shirt? You need to get one. On January 10th, ITV has released an email from Johnson's private secretary inviting over 100 staff to the garden party at 10 Downing Street on May 20th in 2020. Everyone bring your own booze. I still think that's boo. According to the broadcaster, Johnson and his then partner, now wife Kerry, were among the 40 or so guests. And on January 12th, Johnson admits attending the garden party on May 20th in 2020, and he apologizes in Parliament for the way it looks. He had assumed that it has been a work meeting. Yeah. He was there for about 25 minutes to thank employees. In hindsight, he should have sent everyone back in, says Johnson. What does need that he thinks it's a... No. On January 14th, it's really a hard one, the Daily Telegraph reports 2 more parties at Johnson's Downing Street residence. Because there's some explosiveness. They took place on April 16th in 2021, and thus on the eve of the funeral of Prince Philip, the husband of Queen Elizabeth. According to the newspaper, it must have been exuberant. Employees are said to have bought large quantities of alcohol in nearby supermarkets. Music was played on a laptop, and a swing belonging to Johnson's son was broken. Johnson was reportedly at the Chequers Manor at the time of the parties. His office apologized directly to the Queen on the day it became known. And she sat alone in a row of pews and at the funeral service in St. George's Chapel because of the corona restrictions, and those guys are having parties. Well, and on January 17th, Johnson's ex-advisor and our famous word Dominic Cummings accuses Johnson of lying. The Prime Minister was aware of the party on May 20th, Cummings writes on his blog. He and at least one other advisor had warned Johnson's private secretary Martin Reynolds not to let the party take place because corona requirements would be disregarded. Reynolds consulted Johnson, who in turn agreed to still have the party. And on January 24th, in the clarification of the so-called Partygate affair about celebrations during the lockdown in Downing Street, gatherings in Boris Johnson's own home are also to be investigated. Government officials sue Gray's investigation, which is eagerly awaited in London, will also include alleged parties at the Prime Minister's home at 11 Downing Street. The Times reported that on Sunday, citing inside sources. Close friends of Johnson's wife Carrie are said to have been guests more often during lockdown times, officially for work reasons. According to the report, however, there are a lot of doubts about this representation because the friends mentioned did not work directly for Downing Street, but for the attached cabinet office. And so it's just a list of the last few months. I know I made another video about years back on my main channel, but just for your information for the moment. And this list will continue, I'm sure. And I'll see you in my next video. Bis gleich.